Good morning, everybody, and happy Monday. It's just you, me, and this rain cloud overhead. Let's have a little bit of a conversation. I'm Bear with BearIndependent.com, and we're going to do the brief today. It is the 4th of April, 2022. Good morning to everybody in the chat. By the way, if you're one of those people that's like, I never got a notification, I post links to every one of these in Patreon every time we do one of these. Good morning, Brother Dudley. So you can check us out at patreon.com, search for Bear Independent, or there's always a link in the description. It's the best time of the month. It's the beginning of the month. $5 gets you a month's worth of content and access to over 2,000 videos. We just recently talked about leadership for your mutual assistance group and what that looks like, and ideological alignment and how important ideological alignment is. And then this morning we were talking about greenhouses for your garden to grow food. So you might want to check it out. In recent news, there's more outrage spreading globally as media outlets report of war crimes committed against Ukrainians. And war crimes is very important here because as we dive into this narrative, again, understanding that we are potentially, probably experiencing 5th generation warfare. Again, shout out to S2 Underground. 5th generation warfare, a key characteristic of is a game of narratives. And the war crimes narrative is something I think we're going to be seeing more of in the days and weeks ahead. Because thus far, the West, NATO, has been unable to develop the socio-economic, geopolitical mandate that it needs, the approval from its constituency to go to war in Ukraine. And so the narratives keep ramping up, keep ramping up, keep ramping up to get people spun up to the point where they will cry, we've got to go to war, we've got to do something. I'm one sentence into the brief and I'm now pontificating, but I want to point out that it's important to understand the narratives here. And one of my deepest concerns with what's happening in Ukraine is that it's just a matter of time before we have a black swan event, a casus belli, a Gulf of Tonkin incident, a 9/11, a sinking of the Lusitania, the assassination of Archduke Francis Ferdinand. Take your pick. It's just a matter of time, I think, before we could see something like that. Shalom, Brother Badger. Good morning. And so, be on the lookout for that, because the first thing we need is that, or the first thing they need, is enough people amongst their constituents that are crying out, we've got to do something. And then they need the onus to act. And that's where the black swan comes in. So, oh, good morning, NWA Prepper. Shalom, brother. All these people whom I partied with last night. Good to see you. Journalists descended on Bucha after the Russian soldiers pulled out of the area and found what the Russian troops left behind. This is about 10 kilometers outside of Kiev. At least 20 men were found dead in the street, some with their hands tied behind their backs. According to the mayor, 280 people had been buried in mass graves. There's a lot of circular reporting happening on this right now. The numbers I've seen have been anywhere between 300 and 410, and I imagine that number is going to grow in the hours, days, and weeks ahead. This is a cover for financial collapse. Wake up and smell the ashes. Agreed. Something we've been talking about a lot here lately. According to the mayor, 280 people have been buried in mass graves. The UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson has said, quote, that his country would not rest until justice was served for the victims, end quote. The head of the EU, European Union, has called for an independent investigation, and President Zelensky has accused Russia of genocide. And again, one of the major challenges of reporting on this Ukraine situation is that there's the micro situation of what is happening between Russia and Ukraine on the ground in Ukraine, where there is a war happening. There are bad things happening. Versus the macro situation, this game of narratives, where we're seeing phrases like genocide and war crimes being bandied about by world leaders. And again, the reason that's happening is to get the buy-in, to get the approval of the constituency, to do something. We've got to do something. Y'all hear that thunder? Oofta. Good thing this roof isn't made of metal. Oh wait. Hey, if I get smoked by a bolt of lightning, have a happy Monday. I love y'all. More effects of the war are hitting foreign shores. The BBC has reported that sunflower exports from Ukraine and Russia, which produce 80% of the world's sunflower oil, are not happening. Now is sowing time too, which clearly won't be happening. So the shortage of sunflower oil is expected to last at least 12 to 18 months. The oil is lacking from retail shelves, and food manufacturers are rewriting all of their recipes. So what's the big deal? Who cares? Sunflower oil, right? Not all oils are heat tolerant like sunflower oil, so it's not as if just any oil will do. Such a large dip in availability cannot instantly be filled with another product like rapeseed on such an astronomical scale, and products like coconut oil are more expensive. Either way, costs will rise and availability will change. One snack company founder who switched to rapeseed commented, quote, "There's an incredible scramble. Everyone's doing the same thing. So while sunflower oil is impossible to get at the moment, rapeseed oil is possible, but difficult to get as well. Obviously, because everyone's having the same idea, as prices are skyrocketing at the moment," end quote. The president of the National Edible Oil Distributors Association, the NEODA, NEODA, it's a huge lobby right there, the edible oils lobby. Yeah, they're the ones really that are tanking this society straight to the ground. I'm talking out of my butthole. The president of the National Edible Oil Distributors Association said that prices for rapeseed, the best substitute, have jumped by 50 to 70% already. The BBC wrote, quote, "The food industry is now grappling with supply issues not experienced since the end of World War II." And quoted one expert who said that food inflation should bump up more than 15% now. Why should you care about a lack of sunflower oil and rapeseed oil and now coconut oil as a filler to make up for blah, blah, blah? It's one more indicator. Food scarcity has been one of our indicators here since the channel started. If y'all know me, you know it's something that I'm very passionate about. I have an entire playlist here on this channel called the Prepper Classroom. And several of those videos address, when it comes to food storage, what should I store, how should I store it, how much do I need? And several of those videos address how do I produce food to replace my food storage. I firmly believe we will see rationing. I think we're already seeing rationing by another name right now. And war at its most basic level is a game of resources. It's the deployment of certain resources against the defense of or acquisition of other certain resources. And as resources continue to tighten up on the world stage, there'll be more and more major and minor conflicts. Whether this is two people in the grocery store fighting over the last box of mac and cheese on the shelf, minor conflict, or two countries going to war because one of them doesn't have food and the other one does, major conflict. We've been touching on more and more Operation Gothic Serpent here, Mogadishu. That was about food. There was a famine. By the way, if you're one of those people that reads the Bible and does what it says, famine, scarcity of food is mentioned 87 times in the Bible. Almost like the Father wanted us to know, hey, these things happen, they're cyclical, pay attention, and have some preparation. I get a lot of people who are like, yeah, well, you know, the good Lord loves me, he would never let me starve. It's like, yeah, the good Lord also told Joseph to stack 7 years worth of food for the entire planet. And Egypt, as the controlling authority over that food, consolidated resources in the entire region to the point where they literally owned people in years 5, 6, and 7, because these people had nothing to offer other than themselves so that they could stay alive. So you don't want to get in the breadline. You don't want to be on the dole. Resources are tightening up. And so it's, yes, this is one more indicator in the food scarcity equation. It's just sunflower oil. Who cares? You'll care, because we are relearning now lessons that have been lost from World War I and World War II. And that is global conflict, whether we are actively embroiled in it or not, has trickled down effects here at home. And that's why I want you guys to do the things and learn the old ways and get back to the land and produce your own food and store your own food, because the fragile system is becoming a little bit more fragile every day. The Federal Communications Commission, FCC, has blacklisted the security software firm Kaspersky Labs for unacceptable cybersecurity danger to the national security of the United States. The company's operations are based in Britain, but it is headquartered in Moscow. The highly recommended firm creates antivirus software and VPNs and serves banks internationally, though the exact number of banks serviced in the U.S. is unknown. What is known that it has about 240,000 clients globally and protects the data of more than 400 million users. The company has now been added to the official naughty list, along with Chinese companies Huawei, ZTE, and new additions like China Mobile and China Telecom. FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr said of the latter two additions, quote, "Their addition, as well as Kaspersky Labs, will help secure our network from threats posed by Chinese and Russian state-backed entities seeking to engage in espionage and otherwise harm America's interests," end quote. In a statement, Kaspersky expressed its disappointment, indicating that the decision was more political than practical, as it does not have ties with any government. Neither do, generally speaking, Russian hackers. They don't necessarily work for the government. There's just periods of time where the government turns its eye from them, which gives them room to operate. Things to think about. And as far as being directly affiliated with the government, okay, no, you're not. But who sits on your board? And who do your board members have dinner with? And what phone calls do they make throughout the day? And who do they email? And how enmeshed and intertwined with state governance are they? And the answer is, typically speaking, when we're talking about banking and banking systems, very enmeshed with governments. So, as for updates that do not involve Ukraine, the Supreme Court has placed a partial stay on an injunction that protected SEALs, Navy SEALs, who filed religious exemptions from the vaccine mandate from the Navy. So it's kind of a mouthful sentence. Navy SEALs filed for religious exemptions so they didn't have to get the jab. And a court has filed an injunction saying, don't matter, you got to get the jab. According to the testimony in a Texas federal case, 4,000 religious exemptions were filed and not a single one was approved. 4,000 religious exemptions were filed and not a single one was approved. Now, the DOD's argument here is, hey, we shoot you full of lots of other things too. It's part of preventative medicine. Anti-malarial drugs and, blah, 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 right? We're already packing you full of blah, blah, blah. This is just one more thing to pack you full of blah, blah, blah. Well, there's a lot of people for myriad reasons, and the reasons don't matter, says me, because it's your body, right? What happened to my body, my choice? Because it's your body. And if you truly believe that this thing is going to do harm to you, then you shouldn't have to do it. And if we have righteous leadership, then we acknowledge that, generally speaking, in all things, all authority comes from the Father, and it's simply delegated to good leaders and or bad leaders down the chain of command from there. So, the Father, who is interested in preserving life, that's his job. That's why he sent his Son, for the preservation of life. I don't think would smile too kindly on medically experimenting on Navy SEALs, who also have an issue with it. Well, this Supreme Court has said, yeah, well, too bad. You got to do it anyway. Justice Kavanaugh wrote regarding the decision, quote, under Article 2 of the Constitution, the President of the United States, not any federal judge, is the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, end quote. The Blaze reported, quote, although the ruling was technically on the injunctive relief stage, Kavanaugh seemed to make it clear that religious liberty does not apply in the context of the vaccine mandate in the military. Plus, the disposition of this case could take years, whereby all these soldiers will have long had their careers destroyed, end quote. I don't know if the Blaze was specifically referring to soldiers in their article, but SEALs are not soldiers. They're in the Navy. That makes them sailors. Or seamen, as it's fun to call them from time to time. Yeah, the SEAMEN, seamen. I'm not making that up. If you're on Patreon, you've got links to everything we just talked about. If you're not on Patreon, you don't. And I appreciate y'all for supporting the show. And with that, this is our brief for Monday morning. If you're one of those people that doesn't like when I talk about how to support the show, then this is your opportunity to hop off of here. Have an awesome day. Beat feet, skedaddle, get out of here. Now, RefugeMedical.com, my company, run with multiple brothers and sisters whom I love, 35 lives saved to date, electively deployed on 4 continents with all branches of the U.S. Armed Forces, thousands of law enforcement officers here in the United States of America, and thousands of civilians like you. There's a global conflict going on. Right now it's regional, probably going to go global, potential to be the beginning of World War III. Little thing called the Ukraine War. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, the Defense Logistics Agency, DLA, which falls under DOD, the Department of Defense, is buying up medical equipment like you wouldn't believe. I am in constant competition with the DLA to be able to just get stuff. Love you back, Mark O'Connor. Cot Lumber. The straightest 2x4s, no cupping, no bowing, no waning. The best lumber, cotlumber.com. Here's the deal. Resources are tightening up. And so we told y'all we were going to make a bleeding control kit. Because a lot of y'all were like, hey, I love you, Bear. You're awesome. I'm saving up for a Bear Fac. Can't afford one yet. Bear Fac 3.0 in the store, refugemedical.com. I'm saving up for a Bear Fac, but I'm not there yet. What do you got for me? What I got for you, while they are in stock, while I can get them, okay? While I can get them. Please hear me when I say this. I don't say things I don't mean. While I can get them is this. Shalom, Brother Tommy. This is the bleeding control kit, okay? Last week, these were 53 bucks. Why don't you have SOE make your bags? Matt Matrix, great question. John and I talk fairly regularly. They make excellent equipment. John at SOE Tactical is so busy that he can't keep up with his own orders. He does not have room in his pipeline for my orders as well. That's the long and short of that. In fact, we talked about collaborating on some stuff, and he just doesn't have the bandwidth. And I don't fault him for that at all. He makes excellent products that are in very high demand. Much like this. Excellent product in very high demand. This is the bleeding control kit. Last week it was 53 bucks. This week it's 57 bucks. I don't know what it's going to be next week or if I can even get them because the world's getting stupider by the day. You can get this at refugemedical.com. This has in it one Gen 7 cat tourniquet, one 6-inch emergency trauma dressing, 2 packs of wound packing gauze, 2 pairs of nitrile gloves, 1 pair of responder shears. These are not the EMT shears that we include in our kits. They are your basic shears, but they're still good shears. How many do you have available? I don't know, Dirty Roofer. I don't know. 1 North American Rescue survival blanket, 1 permanent marker, and some instructions. So, this right here. Hey, Logan Matthias, shalom, brother. These right here are good to go. If you can't afford a bear fac, or you need to get more medical supplies, or you need to stick something in your desk drawer at your middle school, or your office, or in the file cabinet in your warehouse, or hang it in a box on the wall next to the fire extinguisher, or put it in your minivan, or your helicopter, or whatever. These are excellent for that, and they're $57, okay? They're not a bear fac. A bear fac is purpose made to deal with the March algorithm. This is the M in March, massive bleeding right here. But massive bleeding is going to be 9 out of your 10 preventable deaths in the United States of America. And so you can also still order wound care buckets from refugemedical.com. You can order, SOB kits and the bear facs. We had to take adventure kits out of stock for the time being, right? And so can't get an adventure kit right now because I don't have the stuff to fill them. I mean what I say to y'all, and I exhort you to make moves if you're not currently making moves. So, also very important to understand that this and everything else at the store is HSA and FSA eligible. Stump Shoots and Shoot said we only have 140 bleeding control kits left in stock, and I don't know if I can get more. There you go. Love you back, Apollo. So, I'm not trying to be the sham wow guy and be like, get them while you can, while supplies last. $9.95 plus shipping and handling. I'm telling you the God's honest truth here. We live in a very strange world that I get to see the inner workings of on the daily, and supply chains are drying up overnight. So, bleeding control kit, refugemedical.com. Your promo code is BearNation for free shipping on everything in the store. And you can use your HSA or FSA on practically everything in the store. So, and then this right here, this comes with a just-in-time instructions card. Bro, when somebody has a femoral hemorrhage, it's not time to read the instructions. It's time. Mark Chesser, I respect you back, brother. Thank you. If somebody has a femoral hemorrhage, now's not the time to read the instruction card. You need to know how to put the dang tourniquet on, right? And so, I strongly encourage you, again, supply and demand, strongly encourage you to go to refugetraining.com and find a class that is near to you, whatever near looks like to you, and go to training and learn how to apply tourniquets, pack wounds, apply chest seals, nasopharyngeal airways, the signs of shock. What is hypovolemic shock? What is what's the difference between reversible and irreversible shock? What does it mean when the carotid artery is distended on one side and coupled with uneven or strange breathing patterns? Blah blah blah. Right? What is all this stuff? Refugetraining.com. So you know how to use these kits. For an example, our guys are on the road. They're in Indy. No, they're on the road to Indy today, Indianapolis. Indy's sold out with a waiting list long enough to be its own class. Okay? Classes are filling up. And so find a class at refugetraining.com that you can get to and go ahead and reserve a spot for your butt in a seat at refugetraining.com. It's supply and demand. It's limited availability. And we're blessed that that company, Refuge Training, is gaining traction. And there's only so many opportunities throughout the year and only so many places we can go. And so I exhort you strongly to both have a first aid kit, a real one, not Band-Aids and a glow stick and a rape whistle from my medic, a real first aid kit, and know how to use it. And as always, your promo code is BearNation. I appreciate y'all. I need you to have a happy Monday. I need you to have a happy Monday. Don't fear anything, okay? Fear is of the enemy, and worrying is a sin. Doesn't mean we don't keep our eyes wide open and pay attention to what's going on in the world, because the world's stupid. But we are supposed to be in the world, not of it, okay? So go forth, be the light, let your love shine, do many mighty works for the Father and the Son's name, be a blessing to other people. Shalom.